It's a great day here at KEKFILA's YouTube, Patreon, Snapchat Prime, Amazon Plus, OnlyFans video. Whoops, people walking by. I have with me Steak Frank. Your name's Frank.
Yes. Frank Valentine.
From Ohio.
Akron, Ohio.
Nice.
Home of LeBron James.
LeBron James. And today we have a top 32 Perona profile. Now, I know, guys, this is 7.5. We're looking at Set 8 stuff. Steak Frank has done stuff with me in the past, especially with Perona. And honestly, I think it's only Perona that made top 32 between
I think so.
you and NA.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that experience and also your deck list. We're going to go over the deck list first and your experience in general. A spoiler alert, unfortunately, we didn't make top 16, but sometimes people are luckier than others, and I think you were really unlucky with your first matchup. So.
Yeah, I mean, Reiju, so I played Reiju in top 32. It's definitely winnable, but it is really dependent on draws. If they get, back-to-back ETGs, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing a lot of decks can do against Reiju when they just, pop off. And you really have to have enough counter early, which can be an issue with this deck, too. And you really need to be able to, draw into your Ryumas to just keep up tempo with them, because they'll just run you down and rush the game out. A lot of the thought behind the deck, too, was I was relying on my opponents and, not having practiced a lot against Perona. And my top 32 Rage's opponents, I put in 50 sets against Perona, and I was well, he really knew what he was doing, and he deserved the win. And but it was unfortunate we couldn't get there. But I'm really pleased with how I did, especially with the deck that everyone thought was really bad.
Is there what are your thoughts on this for Set 8? Are you looking more to, if someone was wanting to play this, should they just play Carrot instead, or what's the deal?
The first card I'm thinking about throwing in the deck is Jack. It's just such a good black card.
Yeah.
All the black decks are really kind of, even walking around the venue earlier, I had so many people come up and just be like, does anybody have OPOA Jacks that they're looking to trade or sell and stuff like that? And it's a pretty hot card right now, and it's pretty good. So that's the first thing that I would think about fitting in here. My biggest thing in 08 with this Perona is if the Zoro deck takes off, the Zoro leader with all the choppers and stuff, the amount of pressure that they can put on you seems like it'd be too much. I haven't tested it, but that's the first, I think, concern. Then in opposing black decks, and I'll explain why this can hang with opposing black decks in this current format, but with opposing Jacks just being 11 cost, having that on board and just having an AK swing at you every turn that you can't really remove, I think makes it a lot more difficult. So those are my two main concerns of it not being viable. But anything is possible, and I think it's still a good deck. Over in the East, I think they were still playing it in 08 a little bit too. So
they were. It was actually really favored, and at the beginning of 09, it's really big because they got some additional cards. So people are looking at that as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't count it out yet, too, but there are some things to be concerned about, so we'll have to work out the kinks now. I think I've spent so much time on this deck preparing for this event, too, that I kind of want to take a break and explore some other colors and stuff like that.
I think you should. I mean, this might come back a little bit in 8.5 a little bit, just because of the Shanks card. You can actually remove cards like Jack.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It's a deck that I've spent so much time on. I'll always have it in my back pocket, so...
Yeah. Good. Well, with that, let's take a look at the actual deck. Let's go ahead and show us, I guess, your list.
Yeah, so I'll start out with the very obvious, the search engine, 4 Otama, 4 Momonosuke, and then there's Can You Be My Samurai as well. So I have 3 instead of 4.
I think it's good.
I think it's fine. When I was playing 4, there were definitely times where I'd break up in my hand. If you're not opening your searchers or your low cost characters, and you have 2 of these in hand, it feels absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And 3 really felt like enough to kind of get by. And with the fact that you can search them out, you really want to play at least 2 a game. And so I was seeing it when I wanted to, and I felt like 3 was all right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the Momo's really big. Obviously, you need to open these. Sometimes, even if I have the perfect curve, if I have something to play on 4, I have Ryuma for 4, and I have Gecko for 8, and I have something for my 6th on turn, but I don't have any searchers, you're almost always going to lose those games because you really need the card advantage. So even if you have the right curve, but I just mulligan for none of these searchers, this is probably these cards is what I'm looking for the most in my opening.
They're semi-blockers, so it's
exactly. You play out a lot of your 2Ks, and you don't play a ton of counter. It's a pretty greedy list, but the fact that your opponent is just forced to swing into so many sideways cards, you can really afford to be kind of greedy in that sense.
And they can't win the Chibi War because it's literally you just rest or like say a Garp comes down, you're just gonna rest and kill it. Right? Yeah,
exactly. So, like you really want to control the board the whole time. Anything that comes down, especially if I already have a Momo out that they can swing into, I'm immediately clearing. I'm forcing their leader to swing into this by getting rid of their board every time.
Yeah.
And that's a really big aspect of the deck that you need.
Okay, sweet. Let's move on.
Yeah, so, and then, Force Suru.
Okay.
That's a 2K, one of the best Navy cards. It's a reducer as well to activate your KO effect, so 4 of them, 100%. Ended on 2 Belmir. I would have liked a third, but I just didn't think the deck had space. For those of you that don't know what it does, you can essentially rest it, reduce something by 1, and give your leader 1. So there are a lot of really relevant 5-cost 6K bodies in the format, especially against the Black Yellow Luffy, being able to rest their 5-cost Luffy that draws their life.
Or
and then
like a Sabo.
A Sabo in the Lucci or Black Mirror is really important.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, because not only can you reduce it to 4, but then you bring your leader up to 6, and you can just swing 6 at it right away. So this card is very good, and they have to swing at it, or you're just getting free 1K every single turn.
Yeah.
So it's, again, just something that kind of pseudo blocks for you and just protects your life, in a sense. 2 Rosinante. This one's kind of hot. Not a lot of people were on this. I think it's really good because there's a lot of times you want to protect your big characters. I've played 9-cost Zoro in here, which I'll go over in a minute. But there's matchups, or sometimes you're just losing a game, and it's like, I need to stick 9-cost Zoro to be able to win this game because I'm losing so badly.
Yeah.
So if you can go like Rosinante, Sabo, 5-cost Sabo to protect it, and then the following turn drop Zoro and rest the Zoro with your Samurai and keep the Rosinante up, the Zoro sticks and you can just win the game that way. And then I think it's also good early game against decks like Reiju and Dofi, or just things that are kind of aggroing you to just throw out and get an early block.
Yeah.
And then really what sold me on the card was when you play out Gecko and you need to block and KO something at the same time, and you can't play Borso and Ryuma at the same time. So it allows you to stop an attacker by KOing with Ryuma, but then also block an attack, and that can buy you the turn that you need to win the game the following turn. So that combo is really important.
Combo. Yeah.
For Izo, I had 3 in for a while, but I really, when you play a lot of time you need to play down the Otama just to use your Samurai. You just need a target for Samurai and a cheap target to play down. And so Otama being able to replace itself with another 2K a lot of the time is really important. So I really wanted to have the option to hit Izo. And then if they do leave your Momo on board and they start going for your life, I want to be able to punish that by just tapping it again and just getting the additional counter that I need. So I definitely felt like 4 was better. And originally it was like 4 Samurai, 3 Izo, but I ended up on the 4 Izo, 3 Samurai.
I think it's solid.
Most important card of the deck. This is the card that makes the deck good. Ryuma, just KO, forward on to KO at 4 cost.
Play off of Hiyori.
Yeah, extremely valuable card. Your leader effect just synergizes with it so well. Be rest of 4 cost, KO it right away. It buys you that early tempo. I think what makes the deck good and how the deck operates is like in the early game, you just need to slow them down as much as possible. Force them to swing into your Momos, force them to swing into your Belmirs, KO anything that's coming out in the early, 2 to 6 Dawn turns. And that way, you're healthy enough and have enough hand size in the late game that every turn, Gecko, Sabo, 9 Zoro, another Sabo. And so, being able to play this. And again, it's sometimes really, the fact that it has on KO, it KOs another thing. They really have to play well and KO it at the right time. Or they leave it alive, too. So
it's a +1, like every time it stays up. So,
I played Lucci day 1, and the biggest thing is you just want to have more resources in the Black Mirror, and so you want to have more Geckos or more top end than they do. And I actually didn't draw into any top end, but one of my Ryumas stuck on board for a turn because they couldn't KO it, and then I was able to the next turn to just play another Ryuma, slow them down, and then protect it with Sabo. And just the fact that it's a 6K body is nice. A good swinger, and then It's really good against Nami too, because you just play this down against Nami, and if you're swinging 6K, you're just getting around their White Snake. So I won't even KO stuff with this in the Nami matchup. Like if there's nothing for me to KO, someone else will just raw play this down, and just having the 6K body to force 2 cards out of hand instead of just the White Snake when my swing without attaching any Dawn is really good. Love this card. Only need 2 though. Lets you draw, which is nice.
Yeah, fodder for Samurai.
Yeah, but the biggest utility really is just being able to play this off the Gecko simultaneously with like a Belmir or a Suru, so that you can then use your leader ability after the reduction, and it's not like you're playing Ryuma out where you have to use it right away.
Yeah,
so
just an extra draw off of Gecko itself.
And drawing an extra card off, drawing 2 cards off of Gecko with Otama and Niori is really broken. It's really nice. And then there are sometimes too in certain matchups, like where I know they can't remove this, where I'll just play it down and pass, and then the next turn I can have like an insane play where I just like Gecko, play out a Ryuma, play another Ryuma from hand, and like KO multiple things. So it's pretty has a lot of utility, but only really want 2. I just wanted in my discard at some games for Gecko, so 2's fine. 3 Borso,
card.
Yeah, and 2 Kuzan.
Busted, best card in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Firstly, you definitely want to have other 4 Dawn plays that aren't Ryuma.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time you can swing into their character and they'll just let it go right away because they're expecting the Ryuma to come, especially if I picked it up last turn.
Yeah.
So then you like, all right, 5 at your Kuzan, and they let it go, and it's like, ha, here's my own Kuzan, and I have, like, you save the Ryuma as well. So it like baits out, unoptimal plays, and it's just very good. The Borsellino, being able to play a blocker off Gecko is very good. One of the best blockers in the game. Not going to explain that too much. And then the Kuzan is just really important to deal with yellow. I didn't have this in the deck for a long time. Yeah. But it's just so good against yellow, and in the Black Mirror as well. It's just a prime target. To be able to play it off Gecko if you don't need the KO.
Yeah, it forces most opponents, they can't even play like a big unit.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a solid card, and I think at 2 copies is more than fine.
Yeah.
3 Sabo. I debated 2 for a while. I had 4 in there for a long time. It's really important in a lot of aspects of the game. Like early on your 5/6 Dawn turn, a lot of the time you really want to cycle. If I don't have like a top end character, I'll play Sabo on 6 to dig for my Gecko, which is really important.
Yeah.
But then
good curve and broken end game. Right?
Yeah.
So
in the Black Mirror too, like if you're not drawing your top end and you're not out resourcing them, and you need to pivot to, I'm not winning the board, I don't have any Geckos, they have multiple Geckos, I just need to punish them, push their life. All right, protect my Ryuma with the Sabo, swing 7, swing 7, swing 7, swing 7 with lead, play another Sabo down, protect all 4 of these characters, and then just push for game with a bunch of 7s. It's a really good utility to do that. Best card in the game, 4 Gecko. It's
solid.
If you're playing a black deck, you just have to play 4 Gecko. I've debated cutting this so many times, and it's just, I was like, oh, I'd rather play Yusha.
A lot of people forget too that you could combo these together.
Yes.
The same turn. It's ideal. Right?
It's so insane too, because if you Samurai this Otama in the early game, sometimes they'll be baited into swinging their leader at it, which is like the best feeling in the world. Yeah. If you're playing against Perona, just never swing at a sideways Otama or a sideways Suru. Yeah, they only have so many Samurais. I'm going to use the early ones on the Otamas already, and then the late Samurais are always good with Gecko. You Gecko, played 1 active, 1 rested, rest the Gecko, and the thing you played active. Like they're always going to have access to. I'm always going to have access to Samurai with Gecko Moria. Okay. So it's very good.
Yeah, we have a more top end here.
Yeah, 3 Sabo. I was sleeping on this card for a long time, but my boy Russell put me on to it.
Yep.
And I tested a lot against my friend Tyler White, very, very, very good Lucci player from my locals. He really helped me pretty much like figure out the Lucci matchup and beat all my Luccis in day 1.
Okay.
And it is just such good tempo in the Black Mirror, and I think the biggest utility is you don't have to rest anything.
Yeah.
So it's like I can use Ice Age plus this to KO 2 things, and then still use my leader ability to rest something and swing at it. And
it's a good secret rare. Like
you're drawing so much with your Samurais and your search that like you're probably the best leader to use this card because you just have so much card advantage. You really don't mind discarding. And oftentimes I'm drawing into so much top end. It's like, all right, I don't need 6, 8+ cost cards in my hand. I'll discard 1 or I'll have another Sabo in hand. I'll just discard this Ryuma, and if I need to KO a character, like I'll just play the Sabo instead. And so,
and then what we got next? We got this
3 9-cost Zoro. I wanted 4. It's so good. I had 4 originally, and I put it down to 3. It's just like, first of all, it's just like a card that you can play, and if they can't deal with it, even if you're getting just absolutely destroyed, like this card, you just play it down and stick it, the game ends. And so that is just such a powerful card. I think it's one of the best cards in the format. I mean, it's you can attack with it 3 times, and it's a 9K body. And
I mean, a lot of times it's whoever the best green deck is the one that can stick this the most.
Yeah,
and
it's so insane into Nami. It's so insane into Bonnie. It's really good into Black Yellow Luffy, and so it's just such a powerful card for this format and like the meta game for this tournament.
Yeah.
So I just absolutely wanted to see it when I needed it. I wanted to see it every game against Nami. I want to see it every game against Black Yellow, every game against Bonnie.
Against your matches yesterday, out of all your matches, how many do you think you won just because of this card? Realistically, like we wanted
only 2 or 3.
Only 2 or 3. Okay.
It's a card you honestly don't play. I will have this in hand, but it's just like I have to play Sabo for the tempo, or I have to play Gecko to get a blocker out.
This is kind of risky if it doesn't work out, right?
Yeah,
you kind of waste a turn.
100%. But if you can stick it, it's very, very good, and it just like seals you the game. So I like it a lot, and there are just certain matchups where you kind of need to see it. So I want to see 3. Yeah. And you can discard so many cards between Sabo and other Sabo, and so it's totally fine to have extra copies of. And then just 3 Ice Age. It's mostly for the Black Mirror.
Yeah, so
it's good at clearing big yellow bodies as well.
Clearing anything big,
Yeah, you just want to be able to respond to their Gecko with Ice Age Gecko, respond to their big drops with Ice Age something down, Ice Age Gecko down to 3. Leader effect something like a Brook or something down from 6 to 5 because you can reduce with your leader effect, and it just synergizes really well with the Sabo, so those kind of go together. And it's just a black card that a lot of decks play. It's pretty straightforward.
Out of your matchups yesterday, I don't want to go to like matchup to matchup. Well, was there any notable games you want to at least mention? Like this was kind of crazy, or
yeah, I think the Lucci was the biggest one. Round 1, I played Lucci, and it's pretty close. I feel like it's pretty 50-50. It really just like you just want to draw more top end than they do.
Yeah.
But again, it was like one of those games. They saw 2 Geckos. I had no top end at all. Yeah. None of these, and so I was still able to squeak it out by.
Did they just have like were they bricked up like 7 cards a hand, no counter? Like what?
No. I mean they just like so they played Gecko on 8, and left a Ryuma up. And so on my 9 Dawn turn, I was able to just like swing 5 with lead, swing 7 with Ryuma. He took it down to 3 life.
Yeah.
Protect with Sabo. Still no top end. So I'm like, oh shoot.
Okay.
But I had all my Sabos. So I was just like, okay, this is what we got to do. And then next turn, 7 with Ryuma. Takes, goes down to 2. 7 with Ryuma. He's like, oh, 8 Dawn up? He's like thinking a Gecko or one of these cards is going to come. And I was like, takes down to 1.
So,
and then I was like, all right, 3 on lead, 8, counters out 2 2Ks, Sabo, 4 bodies on board.
Yeah.
Now he was forced to, instead of lethaling me,
KO
both my Ryumas.
Which KO theirs.
Yep. And both Sabos stayed up. And so then I was able to go 9 at life, and he took down to 0. And I was just 12 with Sabo. He went 13.
Okay.
2 cards in hand, 5 with lead, 2 dead cards. We squeaked it out like that. So it's definitely, sometimes I think the biggest underappreciated aspect of this game is just like, oh, I got unlucky. I didn't see it on my top end or blah, 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 blah. But it's like if you can still make plays and utilize the deck.
Pretty vanilla, like it's like playing pre-release, just like play
cards down, swings.
That's people actually forget that aspect of it. They feel like they have to like do some broken BY stuff.
Yeah, no,
you can win.
You really, to get good at this game, need to just understand, all right, what can I actually do with this hand? And like if I'm in a losing position, like how can I turn this around, or what's my only route to winning, and figuring that out. And that my deck didn't give me any top end, but it gave me 3 Sabos, and so all right, we'll make it work.
I mean, I'll have Eric on a video with me later, but he'll he beat you in Swiss, but I think it was really close, right? He had a comeback, I think, right? My game against Eric was probably in my 9 rounds yesterday. The hardest I bricked was against Eric. Okay.
I played Gecko on 8. He responded with Gecko on 8 to do a broken. He's so good, dude.
Yeah.
To do a broken play of like Kuzan, draw, rested Sabo out of life, protect my board.
What? He had a Sabo in his life? How did he know that?
I think he put it there.
Or is it blind?
I can't. No, he definitely wasn't blind. He put the Sabo there at some point in the game. It might have been his 10-Dawn turn. He just did Hiyori and then 8 for Gecko.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly how it went.
That's usually, yeah, because that's usually the play. You play the 8-drop, you get Hiyori and the Sabo, and then you just play the Sabo in your life that turn.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to him, he said he wasn't having a good time, and then later he drew stuff. But if you break, that also helps, tell the story.
On my 10-Dawn turn, so after he did that, on my 10-Dawn turn, I played Borsellino for 4 and passed with 6 Dawn up.
Yeah.
And then my hand, I think I had like 8 cards in hand, and it was like 3 Ice Age, 3 Suru, a Ryuma, and a Borso, and so it was like not much I could really do there.
Rough.
I had 1 Zoro, but he was just able to Ice Age it. I think he said he played 3 Ice Age, and so we couldn't sweep that one out.
Yeah, exactly.
But then this is gonna sound like it feels good, obviously making top 32, but it does feel kind of bad. I did hit a lot of Black Yellow Luffy, like an absurd amount, which is like one of the best matchups. Yeah, it's lucky for me. But it kind of feels like, I hope people don't diminish the accomplishment of
they shouldn't. No.
He just hit all of his, best matchup or whatever.
If you were playing Bonnie, it'd be different.
Sure.
Like then if you that'd be like understandable. But it's not free. It's still advantage.
Yeah.
This is probably the best black deck against black decks.
Yeah.
Right. But there's obviously other decks like we'll talk about Rage you face in top 32.
Yeah. So day 1, I played 2 Lucci, 1 Katakuri, which was really the one deck I did not want to see, but we still got that game. And then I played 6 Black Yellow Luffy, and I beat 4 and lost to 2. I lost to Eric, who went undefeated.
Yeah.
And I lost to Jackson,
Yeah, in the last round. But if you lose to 2 great players, you're in top cut. So.
Yeah.
And then for that top 32 game, we talked about it before the camera was rolling.
Yeah.
But what exactly happened in that top 32 game?
I got smacked, dude.
So they were able to choose to go second, right?
I chose. I chose to go second. Game 1, I mulliganed into 3 8-cost Moria and no searchers. So that was kind of a wash. He turn 1 rate. He had stage turn 1 both games.
No Rage, you could mess that up.
Yeah, Rage right away on his 3-Dawn turn. So he smoked me there. You really need to see the searchers in every game, so I didn't get that there. And then game 2, I got to go second again. And I had an okay hand. I had double Otama, which I played down. But the first one, I got to choose between Ryuma, 2K, or Samurai.
Yeah.
And in that matchup, like if you're gonna win, they just can't see back-to-back ECG just beats you regardless. So you kind of have to play around them not having that in the first place. But then when they play their Reijus and they play their Porsches, you need to be able to swing at life and keep up tempo by KOing them. So off the first Otama, I grabbed a Ryuma because I know I need at least one, and then and put back the Samurai and the Izo. And then the second search, I really wanted to see a Samurai, or at worst my other Izo, and my only option was Ryuma, so I had to grab a second Ryuma as well.
Lucky,
And that, I probably maybe could have grabbed one of these and just hoped for the Ryuma off the second Otama. But regardless of what happened, he went EGG 3 turns in a row, and I'm not beating that regardless of what cards are. I can pick 5 cards, and I don't think I'm beating that. So I'm not too sad about the loss. I definitely think I could have beaten Jackson yesterday. I think I punted in the end there, which maybe would have gave me a different seeding, but I'm not going to dwell on that too much. I'm pretty happy with top 32. My opponent played really well as a Reiju player, and he's going to be in top 16. So I'm excited with the deck. We might try it out a little bit in 08.
But we're looking at Marco now. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna mess around with Marco a little bit. I really kind of pride myself in being able to build decks well and read the meta.
Or in the middle?
It's like I think if you want to do well with Marco, it all centers around 9-cost Sanji.
Okay.
The leader ability is broken. You're cycling every turn. It's just like a Sakazuki.
But better.
Sakazuki, but better, genuinely. So that leader ability just in and of itself is broken. The fact that you're also reducing something by 2K naturally allows you to control the board. If they have a 6K character rested, attach it on and swing 6 at 4.
The only thing they're missing is they don't have like a Rebecca Hinalucci bullshit combo.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be similar to this deck in that you're a 4-life leader and you're just trying to do your best to control the board and survive until your late turn so you can just spam out big characters and take it that way.
Got it. Is that involved at all the 10 cost white beater?
I think that card is bad.
Okay, good. Understandable. Okay, good. Yeah.
Anything that your opponent can use their own decision making to play around is not the best. Like you really want more absolutes rather than like if my opponent does this, then this happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're just better top ends. And again, having a 10 cost character in a deck that really just wants to abuse the fact that I can take a card from my hand, put it on top of my deck, play out a Sanji, and then play out a second 9-cost character, like that is, I think, the most broken utility for the leader ability. So that everything that I'm going to build the deck is going to just center around that combo.
Awesome. Well, I first wanted to say to you, thank you for doing this interview. You guys, I'll give you your shout out in just a moment. He has a Twitter. His Twitter will be down the link below. And also, he's on my Discord a bit. I've done contact with him before. He has his own Discord, which he's pretty active. He has an active community as well.
Yeah, I definitely, I love this game. It's so much fun. I'm a transplant from Pokemon, and I think coming from that and just being like a wholesome family kind of game, I was really hoping that the One Piece community itself was good people, and everyone I've met through, and all the tournaments I've had, and all the staff and everybody judges have been so great, and I really want to help make our One Piece community just a fun place for everybody. So I have my own Discord that I try to be active in. I post all my crazy thoughts and ideas and deck lists in there, and we all cheer each other on. So my Discord link is in my Twitter.
I'll have it in the description in this video as well.
Appreciate you for that.
Any other shout outs you wanted to give?
So many. Shout out to my boy Tyler, who I mentioned earlier, for being an amazing Lucci player and really helping me be confident that I can beat Lucci with this deck, and helping me build this deck in a way that can deal with Lucci. I had already felt good about the Nami, Bonnie, Black-Yellow matchup, and so Lucci was that other top deck that I really needed to do well against. Shout out to everyone back in Ohio cheering me on. Shout out to my other testing partner, Jared. Shout out to Russell, who I went back and forth with this deck a lot. Sold me on this card, sold me on this card, sold me on this card, and sold me on this card for somewhat. And so really helping me out with the deck list and talking me through it. And he ran a bunch of games with that 3D2Y Luffy against me as well after I was panicking when that deck came out in Europe and I had no practice.
How do we beat this deck? Did you even face it?
No, I did not face it one time.
So, thanks, Russell.
No. Russell and I played it, and I pretty handedly was doing well in the matchups. And so it gave me the confidence I needed to go into this tournament. Shout out to my beautiful, amazing wife who supports me being gone all the time and trading date nights for locals nights and testing nights. And they are my rock and super supportive. So shout out to them. And shout out to all the judge staff who was really nice. It's a really smooth tournament. The bar was pretty low to be fair, but
I can't complain about anything. I like to complain.
It was really great. So shout out to everybody in the Steak Frank Discord and everybody back home supporting me, helped me test.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, see you guys all in the next video. Ciao.